Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you're going to meet the great Martha Tiller. She paved the way for people like me. She's a PR legend in Dallas-Fort Worth. Her incredible journey just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, when I think about pioneers and legends in industries, I think about people like Ebby Halliday. I think about people like Mary Kay. And I think about Martha Tiller. She truly paved the way for people in my industry, public relations. The great Martha Tiller's in the studio, PR legend. Thanks for coming on the show.
My goodness, thank you.
Well,
to be mentioned with those other 2 ladies, that's quite a compliment, my friend.
Well, I want to start at the beginning, because even before you started your agency, you were rubbing elbows with people like JFK. That's a bold statement to make, but when I was doing homework for the show, I put your name into YouTube, and up pops this video from the 6th floor museum. So, all right, tell us the JFK story.
Well, I think you're talking about his 40th birthday party at Madison Square Garden. And I managed to get a ticket. And the garden, as you know, is built in the round. So my date and I were sitting down pretty close to the bottom, right across the way we were looking at the president and his crew. So we had the program, and lots of celebrities, including Marilyn Monroe, were supposed to appear. At the time of Marilyn Monroe, the lights went down, nobody came out, nobody came out, nobody came out. And I saw President Kennedy reach in his pocket, pull out a lighter, flip it, and look at the program. And I nudged my date and I said, the president wants to know when Marilyn's coming out, don't we all? This was way before the general public knew anything about the rumors between Marilyn and the president. Wow. But of course, insiders in the family and whoever knew. So finally here came Frank Sinatra or somebody in the Rat Pack, and they sang, and then somebody else sang, and somebody else sang. Well, finally, the lights went down again, and Marilyn Monroe literally slithered out in that famous dress.
Wow.
And she breathed, "Happy birthday, Mr. President." Of course, everybody is sitting on the edge of their seat. We now know that there was a big fight backstage about whether or not she was going to go on, and she was told if she appeared, they would cut her out of the movie that she was working on presently, and so on and so forth.
Wow.
And we also know that it wasn't too many days after that, Marilyn was dead.
Unbelievable. I mean, you have amazing stories. We've got some video from JFK back in when he was running for president in 1960 against Richard Nixon. What was it? What do you think the world's fascination with JFK is?
You mean still?
Still.
Or was? Well, his youth, his passion. And I have to say, you know, as somebody who ended up, that's many years later working for LBJ, President Johnson was determined. He was so, of course, upset about the assassination, and he was determined to follow all of those passions of Kennedy, everything that Kennedy had planned to do. And frankly, that's how all the civil rights bills came into being, is because Kennedy had the passion for them, and Johnson saw him through.
And you mentioned LBJ, and you had the honor of working with him. We've got some video of LBJ. He was very different from JFK.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. In fact, I think I saw one of your broadcasts that you said if you took today's parties, he might actually be a Republican compared to...
Well, yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Yeah. So tell me about LBJ. Memories?
Lots of them. I had interned, your darling producer has interned some great places. And I had interned as a student in college at the television station in downtown Austin, KTBC, that the Johnson family owned. Of course, I was impressed because he bought the station with her money. But it was a popular television station. So anyway, I had interned there. And so I knew some of the on-air personalities. And when the LBJ Library was opening, after his presidency, that's another story, because I worked for John Conley, and I was sitting with John Conley the night LBJ called him out of a big production to tell him he wasn't going to run again.
Wow.
But anyway, so I ended up helping to work on opening of the LBJ Library. And we had, there was only one hotel, the Driscoll Hotel, really, in Austin at the time. So we took over a girls' dormitory. It was between semesters, the end of May, Hardin House, and we turned it into a luxury hotel.
Wow.
And so all of the VIPs who were coming to the event were staying with us. And we were the bellboys and the desk clerks and all of those things. And I remember taking a fellow up to his room, and he said, "Oh my, Sheraton was never like this." I learned he was the chairman of the board of ITT Sheraton.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, after all that was over, a few days later, I got a call to go to President Johnson's office at the LBJ Library. Replica, of course, of the
Oval Office.
Of the Oval Office, yeah, in the White House. So I went, and he said, I was just 2 seconds inside the door, and he said, "Now listen, Martha, I think you might as well go on the payroll." And I said, "No, sir. Thank you very much, but I'll do anything for you for free, but I don't want to be on your payroll." Now, the reason I told him that was because I'd heard that at night he went through the trash cans, and this was back in the days of carbon copies of your papers, and he'd go through all the carbon copies that were thrown in the wastebasket to see exactly what you'd been doing that day.
Wow.
I didn't want any part of that.
That's incredible. And there's not too many people who tell LBJ no.
I told him no 3 times.
Wow.
Lucy at one time said, "Hey, Dad says you're the most difficult person to get on board besides Mother."
All right, so you started your PR dynasty in the 80s here in Dallas. Tell us about that, because probably at the time you're launching, there probably aren't too many women in public relations.
No. There was one lady whose name escapes me at the moment, but she'd been around a while doing things, and I'd done a project or two for her. But I would have been happy just to be the PR director or vice president of public relations, preferably, for some company. They wouldn't have a female in that job, period. So.
Okay, so tell me about your PR career, because that started in the 80s, so that's 40 years ago. You've had a chance to work with top brands and organizations. When you look back on the last 40 plus years, what do you think about?
Well, it's just been fun. Whatever you do, you have got to enjoy it, and you've got to kind of make it fun. you've got to do as I often advised young women who wanted to come and work for me. And there was a little book that I loved called Think Like a Man, Act Like a Lady, and Work Like a Dog. That's what you have to do.
There's great.
But that's what I had to do.
And I know there's no such thing as a favorite client, because everybody's client, their current client is their favorite client, but you do have a soft spot in your heart for Miko. So I want you to brag about Miko.
Oh, you're talking about Miko Rodriguez.
Yes.
Yes. Well, he's a current client, and I love Miko. The truth of the matter is, Jeff, he started out, Mia's was a very popular, famous Mexican restaurant on Lemon Avenue. And he started out there working for his mother. And we loved the place and went frequently, and Miko was our bus boy. So I've known him a long time. But only recently started working with him.
And Miko has several restaurant concepts that we all know and love.
Yes.
And he's still growing.
Mi Cocina, Mr. Macero's, 12 mesas. By the way, that means 12 tables, 12 mesas. And when he started working for his mother at Mia's, they had 12 tables.
Wow.
So I think that's a cool connection.
And
but he has a current concept.
A food hall, right?
Right. He's now developing a food hall on Maple Avenue. And there are not many around. I think there may be one in Frisco and possibly one in Deep Ellum. But his is Food Nation Cinco Cocinas, which is 5 kitchens.
Wow.
So he's going to have 5 little kitchens in his food hall. And you can have a pizza, or you can have sushi, or you can have Mexican food.
Sure.
He's going to have fried chicken, I think. And so, anyway, and then there's a bar. And you can get what you want, and everybody can have something different. And then you can come sit in the hall and eat and drink and have fun.
Well,
he's got a stage. He's can show movies or have live performances or just a lot of things.
And I love it that Miko, he could certainly rest on his laurels. He's done so many amazing things. He's a restaurant legend.
Absolutely.
But he's still growing. And I think that
Absolutely.
like your story and Miko's story, I think should inspire all of us, is that, you're never promised tomorrow. We're not promised this afternoon. But, as long as you get another day on the planet, let's do it with gusto. Okay, we don't like to name drop on this show, but I'm going to name drop on your behalf. Tom Cruise. So Tom Cruise was just in Dallas a few days ago.
Yes.
We're going to show some pictures. This is off of your Facebook page. So, all right, tell us about this event. And you actually got to see Tom Cruise.
I did, absolutely. I'm in love with him.
Okay, tell me about him.
Well, when he arrived, they took him up an elevator and exited to the red carpet where all the media was set up. And they had called in the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders and Emmett Smith to kind of meet him and say hello.
Sure.
And as he walked by, you can see, I think, in the pictures, there was a long stairway. And he at first just sort of waved and kept going a minute, and then he stopped. And here we all were waiting for him. And so he came running down the steps to greet all of us. Never mind doing the interviews. They can just wait.
I love that.
He was a really sweet guy.
He is arguably the most bankable star in Hollywood.
Absolutely.
But he actually likes people.
He loves people.
Yeah.
And I'd just been through, I had seen the film, and there's 20 minutes underwater and 20 minutes under ice where I got claustrophobic, and then there's 20 minutes climbing all over that airplane that's actually flying. I'm not giving away anything. You just got to go and see it.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, my wife and I saw it over the weekend. He's an amazing
What'd you
actor.
think?
And he does his own stunts. I can't believe that he still does that. And he's, I think,
Unbelievable.
61 or 62. Okay, so Barbara Walters. Tell us about Barbara Walters.
Well, there's a documentary about to come out, I believe, on her, and she's quite a lady, and she did pave the way for a lot of us. But after the President Johnson died, I did work then with Mrs. Johnson as press secretary and social secretary and director of special projects, which meant I did what Liz Carpenter and Bess Abel in the White House did with a staff of 100, and I had 5 ranch hands.
Oh my God.
but I traveled with her. So she was going to be on the Today Show to be interviewed about the Memorial Grove, because in Washington, instead of a stone monument, if you will, to honor President Johnson, of course, she wanted a grove of trees. So we were trying to raise money for it. And so she was going to be on the Today Show, and she had some VIPs, guys who were helping appear with her. Anyway, and so it was at a hotel in New York, and they had set up a studio across the hall. And so we arrived, and Barbara wasn't there yet. So eventually Barbara came in. She absolutely stepped over everybody, ignoring everybody, rearranging the floor, telling everybody what to do. So my opinion of Barbara Walters is not quite like my opinion of Tom Cruise.
And as a great publicist, I think that's probably a safe way to do it. Okay, so we only have about 5 minutes left. So
Is that all?
I know this guy. I told her, I said, this is only a 15, 20-minute show, but with you, I'm going to let it breathe a little bit. I know you have advice for young women who are thinking about, making their way in this world, whether it's in public relations or something else. What's your advice to young ladies?
Well, and I mentioned a little bit about this before, but there's a book that was published in about 96, I think, 1996. And on the cover, and I should have brought the book, but it says, think like a man, act like a lady, and work like a dog. And women have come a long way. We're not there yet. We still have to work that way. It's not over. There's a little paragraph in there which I think is pretty true too. And it deals with the length of your skirt. Because if your skirt is too short, everybody's going to think you're the boss's secretary. If your skirt is too long, they're going to think you're his mother. It's still true today.
Wow. There is still a double standard, isn't there?
Absolutely.
So for the young lady out there who's watching this and they want to be you when they grow up, your advice is,
never give up.
Head down, focus. You're gonna get knocked down, but you got to get back up again. Never
get up.
Yeah.
Keep smiling.
Amen.
Learn how to tell people where to go, and they'll thank you for it.
Yes. Yes. Well, you are such a true pioneer.
You're
Thank
fun.
you so much for coming on the show.
You're fun.
Yes, I wish I had another half hour to talk with you.
You're a pioneer.
Oh,
you got into this business before anybody knew what a podcast was.
Well,
congratulations.
Well, thank you for paving the road for people like me to get into public relations. So thank you very much. Okay, we're going to end with her Facebook page so you can get in touch with her, the great Martha Tiller. Thank you for coming on the show. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.